In this tutorial, we're going to look at modules in ES6 and how you can use them to write separate bits of code that can be written in one file and then used in another. So historically, JavaScript has had a few different ways that it's dealt with code in different files, and how you can access variables and also call functions that are stored in one file in another, whilst also avoiding duplicate names for those variables and functions. And ES6 introduced two new keywords, the import and export keywords, which allow you to export the functions and variables from one file and then import them and use them in another. So let's take a look at what that looks like. So a basic module might look like this, where we're defining a function and then using the export keyword to make it available to other files. Of course, we might have multiple functions defined and export all of them. But when using our import statements in our main.js file, we only need to import the functions that we want to make use of within that particular file. So if we were to go ahead and run the main.js file now, we actually get an error in our console, and that's because at the time of recording this, even the most latest up-to-date versions of Node don't yet support the ES6 module features and the import and export keywords. So hopefully this is something that will be updated in later versions, but for now we need to use some bundling software to actually get the ES6 module feature to work. And there are several different options available to you for doing this bundling process, but for this example I'm going to use Parcel, which is a really simple zero configuration piece of software that you can install with npm. So if you install Parcel with the -g modifier, you can use it globally on your terminal. So now we can actually bundle up our code together to see that module working. And we do that with the Parcel build command. And you can see that creates a new file in a folder called dist for distribution. So now if we run that code, you'll see we get the value of 8 being logged out to the console, which is the result of the sum function from the maths module that we created. So if you're not using Node and you're working with the browser, you can still use Parcel to do your bundling. So this time I've loaded the main.js file into a simple HTML template, and using the parcel serve command, I've bundled the module together and it'll be running on that local host address. Which, if we look in our console, you'll see has the result of the sum function called in our main.js file. So just before we finish, there's one final thing that you can do with modules in ES6, and that's to use a default export. So for example in our maths module, if we only wanted to export the sum function, we could do something like this where we export a default function, and then over in our import statements we simply remove the curly braces from around the function name that we're importing. And the useful thing here is that we can rename that function anything we like, and we'll continue to get the same output. So this is quite useful when you only have one thing to export from a module, which is usually the case when you're creating classes with ES6.